John, a man who had spent the last decade living on the streets, had long abandoned his dreams of playing the trumpet professionally. But when a young girl named Regina, struggling with her own musical journey, entered his life, their unexpected connection began to spark something within him. This encounter would lead to a journey neither of them could have anticipated, one that would change their lives in ways they never imagined. I'm what you'd call homeless. After graduating from college, I got a job at a company, but the pressure to succeed and the constant demands wore me down. I was stuck in a toxic work environment where the stress kept piling up, and eventually it became too much. Both my mind and body were completely exhausted. One day, I just couldn't take it anymore. I walked out of the office and never went back. I didn't even bother looking for another job, I just wanted to escape. For the past 10 years, I've been living on the streets. I've found a small community of other homeless people, and we look out for each other. I pick up odd jobs whenever I can to get by. At first, I didn't resist living this way. I was so disillusioned with the corporate world that I felt relieved to be free from all the pressure. Over time, I started to appreciate the freedom, even if it meant living without a stable home. There's a strange comfort in not having any obligations or expectations. But recently, now that I'm in my 30s, I've started to feel a bit anxious. When I was younger and healthier, this lifestyle seemed manageable, but as I get older, can I really keep living like this? I've started spending more time thinking about what my future will look like. Still, I can't even imagine rejoining society. Even if I wanted to, what company would hire a guy who quit his job in his early 20s and has been homeless ever since? With these worries in mind, I tried to focus on getting through each day without dwelling on them. Then one day, a young girl came to the area where I usually stay. She looked like she was in middle school, dressed casually, and carrying an instrument case as she sat down on a bench in a park near the community center. The instrument she took out of the case was a trumpet. I was very familiar with that trumpet. I had played it passionately from elementary school through college. There was even a time when I dreamed of becoming a professional. But eventually, I hit a wall and realized I didn't have the talent. Since then, I haven't touched it. The girl looked around before she started playing her trumpet. To be honest, she wasn't very good. It was more like she was just following the scales rather than playing an actual song. But I could tell that she was giving it her all. As I was thinking about this and listening to her play, she seemed to notice my gaze and turned to look at me. I suddenly realized that a homeless person silently watching might scare her. With that in mind, I quickly thought about turning away from her.
Was I too loud? I'm so sorry.
She said that and apologized to me. When I turned around, she was standing up from the bench, looking a bit nervous. No, it wasn't loud at all. I was just listening because you played so well. Saying she was good was a lie, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so that's what I said. Then she asked.
Really?
Her eyes lit up with excitement, happy to hear that. After that, she started telling me about herself. Usually, young kids, especially those who see someone like me, a homeless person in ragged clothes, would avoid me, but not her. I was curious about why she wasn't like that, so I just listened as she talked. Her name was Regina. She was a freshman in high school and had just joined the school band this fall, where she started playing the trumpet. She told me that she wanted to play the trumpet that she got as a birthday gift, but because her brother was studying for exams at home, she brought her trumpet outside to practice without disturbing him. From what she said, it seemed like she came from a wealthy family, and I thought she must have been born into a privileged life. I didn't come from a wealthy background, and even though I wanted to pursue music, I was advised to be practical and get a steady job instead of chasing dreams. Regina, unaware of my own background, held her shiny trumpet and continued talking with bright eyes. I didn't tell her that I used to play the trumpet. But from that day on, Regina started coming by every Saturday afternoon. Whether I was there or not, she would sit on the same bench and practice. I didn't think she was coming to see me, but one day, as I watched her from afar, I noticed she was looking around as if searching for something. When I showed myself, she was really happy to see me.
In the band, most of the kids have been playing instruments since elementary school, and they tease me for being bad at it. That's why I was so happy when you said I was good.
Regina said that to me. I wondered how she would feel if I told her I actually thought she wasn't very good. It made me feel a bit guilty, but I didn't think it was necessary to hurt her feelings, so I didn't say anything. One day, I saw Regina, who usually played her trumpet happily, frowning as she stared at her sheet music. "What's wrong?" I asked her.
There's a part I can't play well.
She said with a gloomy expression. "I see." I glanced at the sheet music. It was indeed a challenging piece for a middle school student who had only been playing for less than a year. But I hadn't mentioned that I used to play the trumpet, and I thought she might not like being taught by an older guy like me. Having lost confidence in myself, I couldn't bring myself to say, "I can help you." But then Regina said,
It's for an important audition to be selected for the school concert. I don't know what to do.
She looked like she was about to cry. She was just a kid I barely knew, but I had seen her practicing hard and improving a lot. I couldn't ignore her passion for the trumpet. If you use your mouth this way, you'll produce a clearer sound. And focus on the rhythm while moving your fingers like this. Regina seemed surprised when I suddenly started giving her advice, but she quickly adjusted her playing according to my instructions. A few hours later,
I did it. I got it, didn't I?
Regina exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement as she jumped up and down. "Yeah, perfect," I replied. I was truly amazed by how quickly she improved in such a short time, thanks to her dedication and ability to learn.
It's all thanks to you. Thank you so much.
Regina then gave me a big, appreciative smile. "Oh, you don't need to thank me. I'm not used to being thanked, so I'm not sure what to say." After that, Regina asked me why I knew so much about playing the trumpet, so I figured there was no point in hiding it. I told her that I had devoted my youth to playing the trumpet.
That's amazing. You played for 15 years. I want to become a trumpet player like you.
Regina looked at me with eyes that sparkled even more than usual. Well, I'm not a professional trumpet player or anything. I was a bit overwhelmed by her hopeful gaze, but it made me happy. I wonder if I ever had eyes that bright when I was younger. As I watched Regina, I began to think that maybe she could achieve the dream I never could. That's how much hope she inspired in me. But one day, that hopeful routine of Regina's was shaken. For the past month, Regina hadn't shown up on Saturdays. I was a little worried about what had happened, but then again, it wasn't like this was the center of her life, so I tried to tell myself it was silly to worry. But deep down, I couldn't help but feel concerned. Then, one evening during the week, when she usually never came, Regina showed up with a sad expression on her face. What's wrong? She wasn't carrying her trumpet, which she usually kept close. Regina just sat down on the usual bench and didn't seem like she wanted to move. "Where's your trumpet today?" When I asked, she just shook her head slightly. Seeing her so down, completely different from her usual self, I didn't know what to say, so I just stood nearby. After a few minutes, Regina finally spoke.
I was selected for the school concert.
It was great news, but her sad demeanor made it hard to celebrate. "What? That's amazing. Congratulations." When I said that, Regina gave me a weak smile and said,
Thank you.
and continued talking.
But when the sophomores found out, they got mad and said I was too cocky for a freshman, and they smashed my trumpet.
Her words shocked me. The trumpet that meant so much to her. She didn't go into detail, but it was clear that it was damaged beyond repair and could no longer be played. Of course, this turned into a big issue involving her guardians, but they had their own problems. It turns out Regina's family is blended. She was brought into the family by her father, who remarried a woman with a son 2 years older than Regina. Her stepmother came from a wealthy family. Her father worked too, but their comfortable lifestyle was supported by the stepmother's family. However, last month, her father passed away, leaving behind Regina, her stepmother, and her stepbrother, who are not related by blood. Since her father's death, they've been treating her coldly. When the school reached out about replacing the broken trumpet, her stepmother told them it wasn't necessary and refused to get her a new one. The school has a few instruments that students can borrow, but they can't be taken home, so she can't practice on weekends. On top of that, there's talk of her being sent to a foster home soon because her stepfamily is planning to kick her out. She ran away because she couldn't bear to face her situation. It's a heavy reality for someone who's only a freshman in high school. My heart ached for her. Not only had she lost her trumpet, but she was also losing her family.
My stepmom called me spoiled. She said that living in a nice house should be enough, and wanting a trumpet was just being selfish. She told me she always thought I was a bad, selfish kid from the start, and that's why I got what I deserved. Maybe she's right. Maybe I don't deserve to chase my dreams. She said I should give up on such a silly dream because there's no way I could ever become a professional. I guess that's the reality.
As Regina sadly muttered those words, the only sounds I could hear were her voice and the river flowing. You're not spoiled at all. How can dreaming be considered selfish? Sure, it's a blessing to know what you want in life when some people never figure that out. But that doesn't mean you've taken anything away from someone else. You found your dream on your own, and you're working hard to make it happen. I don't want you to give up on such an amazing dream just because of what someone else says. Regina, you're incredible. You're dedicated and focused, working tirelessly toward your goal. That's something truly amazing, something you should never give up. Before I realized it, I found myself pleading with her. Regina's eyes widened in surprise, and then tears began to fall. Seeing her like that reminded me of my younger self, and it made me feel like crying too. I gave up on my dreams and on myself. I let what others said get to me, and I stopped believing in my own future. I don't want you to make the same mistake I did. I said this as I placed all the money I had in my pocket into Regina's hand.
What? $200?
Regina was shocked, but I continued. Use it to help buy a trumpet. It might not cover everything, but it should get you started on finding a decent used one. This wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision.
I cannot accept this. It doesn't feel right.
Regina tried to refuse, but I insisted. This isn't just for you, Regina. I want you to fulfill the dream I gave up on. I'm entrusting you with my own hopes. When I said this sincerely, Regina started crying again and accepted the money.
Thank you. I'll definitely come back and pay you back.
Regina told me that the foster home she was being sent to was a bit far from here, so she probably wouldn't be able to come back for a while. But she kept repeating that she would definitely come back to repay the favor, and then we said our goodbyes. 10 years have passed since then. Now 40 years old, I'm still living here, constantly worrying about my future. Maybe part of me was waiting for Regina to show up again. Not because I wanted the money back or anything like that. I just wanted to see her doing well. And maybe, just maybe, see her living out her dream. But 10 years have passed, and she's probably forgotten by now. I made peace with that. If she's on a path she's happy with, pursuing her dreams, then that's all that matters. On a sunny Saturday, I was awakened by the sound of a trumpet playing from somewhere nearby. The tone was rich and lively, almost as if it could reach the sky. It was a far cry from the notes Regina used to play, yet the sound brought back a wave of nostalgia. When I glanced over at the old bench, I saw a woman sitting there, her back turned to me. Her posture was straight, and she seemed to be playing with a confidence that felt oddly familiar. I couldn't believe it, but I had to know, so I cautiously approached her. As if sensing my presence, the woman turned to face me.
Is that you?
Her hair had grown out. She wore makeup, and she was dressed in a beautiful light blue dress. She looked like a different person, but those bright, sparkling eyes were unmistakably Regina's. Regina.
It's been a long time. I thought I might find you here if I came back.
At that moment, it was my turn to tear up. There she was, Regina, all grown up. And most of all, she was playing the trumpet with such joy. That's what made me happiest. Regina offered me a tissue and then started telling me everything that had happened. After that day, she quickly bought a used trumpet and continued practicing with all her heart. She became the band president in high school and even won a competition. She went on to attend a prestigious music college, and now she plays with a professional orchestra. Regina had truly achieved her dream. That's truly incredible. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I told her this from the bottom of my heart.
No, it's all thanks to you. You pushed me forward when I was about to give up. I can't thank you enough.
After that, Regina handed me $200 in a simple envelope, and even though I said I didn't need it, she insisted, so I accepted it. That alone was touching, but then Regina said something even more surprising.
I actually came here today to ask you for a favor.
With a serious and confident expression, something I couldn't have imagined from the Regina I knew as a child, she continued. I instinctively straightened up to listen to her.
I know this is a lot to ask, but I'm planning to open a music school to teach kids how to play instruments. And I really want your help. Your clear, direct, and caring way of teaching. It has stayed with me all these years. Would you please help me start this school? I can't think of anyone better to inspire kids who are on the verge of giving up on their dreams.
Regina looked at me with the same serious expression she had when she was younger and said, "What? Please, you don't need to be so serious." Seeing her so determined made me feel a bit flustered. Are you sure about this? I mean, as you can see, I'm homeless and I haven't worked in years. I'm afraid I'll just hold you back. To be honest, I was incredibly moved by Regina's offer. The thought of having a job, especially one involving the trumpet again, something I had thought was out of reach, filled me with hope. But at the same time, I was just as worried about being a burden.
That's not true at all. It's not about whether you have a home or not. It's about your passion and dedication to music and dreams. That's why you're perfect for this, just like you helped me. I want you to help others pursue their dreams.
Regina said this with a determined gaze. Touched by her words, I decided to put an end to my long life as a homeless person. We rented a big space for the school, and I moved in to work and live there. Regina rented an apartment nearby and comes by regularly. Now, with many students and a renewed sense of purpose, I'm finally living the life I always wanted. Whether Regina knew it or not, she helped fulfill not only the dreams of the kids, but also mine. When I gave her those $200, I never imagined I'd receive such an incredible return. This is a true story of how two people with dreams happened to meet and made something miraculous happen.